if you're completely empty, you have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're completely empty, it's worth saying twice. If you're completely empty, you have nothing to give. So if you are showing yourself at least some appreciation, some self-love, some self-respect,
Yeah.
and you understand that, you will then have a full cup, or at least a half full cup, so you can genuinely love others.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got married when I was 20.
I remember I was
35.
there. I was there. Should have been me.
I know. Wasn't legal then, man.
I love you, bro.
I philéo you. Okay.
Rude. Cut the camera. What I want in a relationship.
Absolutely.
I love you because I like those eyes too.
Before I met her, it was after I dated somebody.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna mention names or anything like that.
Yep.
But I had the realization after that.
His name was Wayne.
Welcome to the Cam and Joe Show. My name's Joe with my good friend Cam.
Happy Friday.
No, man, how you doing?
I am well. I'm busy and I'm blessed. Family is all good. It is Valentine's Day today.
Before we get into it,
Love Day.
we're going to be talking about some biblical references to love. We're also going to be talking about some love trends, which you actually may find really interesting.
I'm excited.
I thought they're fascinating. So stick around if you want to hear more about that. Like and subscribe. Follow us to hear more about what's going on. We've got all your stuff on Spotify and all these other places. So let's get into it.
Let's jump in.
So when it comes to love, we have heard the same scripture a million times.
Low. I can go really low.
Go really low. I can't.
Step into a Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah.
You're Andy Savage as well.
I'm ready for it. Tell me about love, Joe.
All right. So we were talking about it earlier. When we were growing up, there was a sermon that talks about this often. It's the time when Simon Peter's sitting with Jesus and he's going, "Hey," and he's like, "Do you love me?" And he's like,
Jesus asking Simon Peter, "Do you love me?"
Correct.
And then asking in the abridged version of, "Do you X or Y or Z love me? What capacity do you love me?"
So I'll read it really quick, and then we'll break it through.
Deal.
So it says, after breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know I love you. Then feed my sheep." Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And he says, "Yes, Lord." Peter said, "You know I love you. Then take care of my sheep," Jesus said. And the third time he asked, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the third time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Then feed my sheep." So the reason a lot of people don't really get the context of it is in that translation, there's three different versions of love. All right. In the Hebrew translation of that, you have philéo, which is you and I.
Brotherly love.
Brotherly love. We love each other, bruh. That's total bromance.
Yep.
Then you have amor, which is love of
romantic love. Yep.
Right? And that's between a male and a woman. And then you have agape love.
Yep.
And agape love is God's love. So in that, and it's funny because I've heard
the deepest form of love.
Well, it's a love that embodies you. Like it's literally love me like God is love. Well, that is a hard thing to even like. I was like, "Hey, bro, I totally love you like a brother." That's easy.
Yep.
Right? It's like, dude, I totally have romantic feelings for you. Cool.
Yeah.
It's I love you unconditionally in a way that you can't fathom.
Correct. Not just when it serves you.
Yeah.
You know.
So when Jesus asks him the first time, he's like, "Hey, do you agape me?" And he's just like, "Yo,
yeah, bro,
cool, man.
I love you, man.
I totally,
of course, I love you.
Philéo you."
Yeah,
it's like, "No, man, no. Do you agape me?" And he's like, "I don't even know what that means."
Yeah, exactly.
So I really philéo you.
Are you asking about romance right now? What's happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, pulling back the layers. I've always loved that story because it is Jesus asking Simon Peter to think a little deeper with every question.
Yeah.
Right. It's like when somebody says, "Joe, how you doing?" And you're like, "Good." I'm like, "No, Joe, how are you doing?" You're like, "Good." I'm like, "Joe, look at me. How are you doing?"
And you're like,
"Okay." You know?
Yeah.
So asking a third time the same question, it's like an onion. You are pulling back layers there. So breaking the three down, And in that order, philéo, like I always think of like Philadelphia,
Yeah.
city of brotherly love.
Correct.
To agape. So agape meaning more the deeper romantic love. We'll stay there for a second because there's Valentine's
Amor
Day.
is the deeper.
Sorry.
Amor.
The deeper.
There's an E at the
deeper
end.
than.
But yeah.
Yeah. The deeper but more romantic partner love per se. And then going all the way down to agape. Agape meaning no strings attached.
Yeah.
Not just, I mean, you may have said this to Regina before. I love you. I just don't really like you right
my gosh,
now,
yeah.
right? That is
yeah.
something that spouses or in a relationship, you just, like, I love you. Oh, I love you, babe. I love you. But, right now we are not agreeing about something.
Correct.
Amor. You go to agape, it is, I love you through and through. I love the worst part of you.
Yes.
Not just when it is benefiting me.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Friendship love, deeper romantic love, and then send my own son, Jesus, to die on the cross for your sins. No matter what you do, you can't get away from me. Love.
Which is crazy.
Which is just a whole different level of
yeah.
depth.
And that's, you can spend your whole life trying to fathom that, right? And still never arrive to it. And I think that's what that is so powerful
which is
on.
awesome.
And then it's nice because the third time Jesus asked him, he didn't say, do you agape me? He says, do you love me like a brother? And it says frustratedly, he's like, yes, of course I do. Like, thank you for finally saying what I was saying. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's, when you start breaking down the layers of even love, I mean, I feel like the word has been manipulated and used.
And it's gotten watered down.
Way watered down. Well, there's different languages as well. Like, I love Spanish because in Spanish,
there's more depth.
Well,
I feel like there's more depth to a lot of there.
Well, I mean, Latin based, right? But what I really like about it is if you go, man, in America we're like, oh, bro, I love pizza. They're like, their word is mi gusto. I like. Like, if you're like, man, do you really love pizza? Like, oh yeah, I really, really like pizza, right? There is no word for loving something that is not a person.
Which is more appropriate.
Which is much more appropriate. And so that's even in context, because if you start going through translations and you start looking at different words in the Bible, you start finding out that, to love something else, that's a different word.
You start to go back to
entirely.
Latin roots to anything, and you'd be like, I always interpreted it like X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
But you pull back some more layers, and it's that much more.
There's a really cool resource, and I'll throw that out there. It's called Blue Letter Bible. And Blue Letter. It's an app you put on your phone, and you can find the translation of the Bible you like, and it'll actually give you what's called the Strong's Concordance. Strong's Concordance takes each word and breaks it down into its original Greek, Hebrew, or Latin.
Awesome.
So then, say there's a scripture you really like, and you're like, oh man, like that one, love. You can select it, and it'll tell you how many versions of love, like that word, but also specifically where it's referenced, how it's referenced.
That's awesome.
The intent behind the word, how it's even mentioned, or how to even say it.
That's awesome.
So I'll actually deep dive. So I'll stay, if I'm reading and I'm really going and something pops out at me, I pull a Blue Letter and I start going.
Get more depth.
I'm like, I really want to know, why is that standing out to me? And there's normally a lot more revelation in that. I mean, it's like you're saying about asking the question, going, hey, how deep are you right now? Like, hey, how are you doing? I'm fine. I love, I love the line from Deadpool when he's just like, how are you? Fine. Effed up, insecure, narcissistic, and emotional. I'm like,
F-I-N-E.
There you go, man. That's totally it. I think that's becoming that. Yeah. But when it comes to the word love in America, I think that we have lost what that value even means. You know? And when I read in Matthew, one of my favorite scriptures Jesus says is all of the old commandments can be fulfilled by these two things. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
And love your neighbor.
And love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, if you've stuck around and you're not a Christian, and you stuck around and you're somebody that disagrees with Christianity belief, that's totally fine. I'll break it down this way, and I think it's very, very good to have the structure. You need to have a moral high compass that directs everything, and you need to let that idea saturate everything that you do before you try doing anything else. because
a true north.
a true north, no matter what it is. I've done my fair research on all that stuff, and that led me to being and staying a Christian.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to go loving, having a moral structure going, this is what I'm going to have. And then going on to, okay, I'm going to love myself with that moral compass, and then showing that to other people, I will then allow that to permeate out of me.
Well said. And I think it's hard. It's hard. I'll say it like this. It's hard to respect other people if you don't respect yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to love other people if you don't love yourself. And that's why I love that scripture specifically says, and love others as you love yourself. It could just say, love God and love others. But if somebody's coming at a spot, or they're coming into it, if you're completely empty, you have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're completely empty, it's worth saying twice. If you're completely empty, you have nothing to give. So if you are showing yourself at least some appreciation, some self-love, some self-respect, and you understand that, you will then have a full cup, or at least a half full cup, so you can genuinely love others.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the most hurt people in the world are those that hurt other people because they come at a spot with no empathy or compassion or love for anybody, because you do a deep dive and you learn their backstory, and they never had any love or respect for themselves, right?
And I think that comes into that mindset of, and this is why I think that structure is so important, of letting the higher moral compass be the goal of where you go. If I truly love you beyond myself, right? You know, people, I love you no matter what. Something happens, I don't love you anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't actually, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's because that goes into whatever your God is, you broke the cardinal rule of what that love looks like. You broke that moral compassing because you did something that's so abominable to my moral compass. I can't forgive that, right? And we don't realize we play that game all the time.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And so I'm often having conversations, uncomfortable conversations with people that are in a broken spot where I'm not defending, I'm also not deflecting, and I'm also I'm listening, and I'm going, okay, yeah, so that happened. So what are you going to do about it? Like, how are you going to resolve that? In the idea that I want them to be the best versions of themselves.
Nothing wrong with that.
They can be. Because to me,
calling them up.
That is the pursuit of calling the God part of them up, going, you can be better. And so what ends up happening, though, is, especially in the dating realm, I'm so happy, dude. Like, we just celebrated 15 years of marriage.
Congrats, man. 15?
15.
Wow.
I know.
What? 15?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got married when I was 20. I
remember. I was
35.
There. I was there. Should have been me.
I know. Wasn't legal then, man.
I love you, bro.
I phileo you. Okay.
Rude. Cut the cameras. That's awesome, man. 15 years. That's
15
huge.
years.
Congrats.
So, I'm realizing we're actually at a point now where we're in less than 1%. Most relationships, marriage-wise, 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
Especially with newer demographics, that's pretty much it, and it drops out.
Yep.
And it's weird because we still have these challenging conversations where, hey, I noticed this. Oh, really? Yeah, you need to fix it. It's like, okay, give me a minute. Let me just take a look at that. Let me figure it out. But it's not you need to fix this. Let me just vernacularly change that. It's not you need to fix this. It's a, hey, I've noticed this, and I noticed that it's stopping you. Like, you shut down when this happens. And I'm not here to judge you for that, and I'll love you with that if that's what you choose. But we can do, like, I want you to do better, and I think you'll feel better if you do that.
X, Y, and Z.
And that coming from that place. In 15 years, at this point, there's no secrets.
What do you think, looking back at 15 years of marriage, what would you say some of your biggest surprises have been?
Oh, my gosh.
And they don't all have to be good.
No.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
We're being grossly authentic like we try to be on this show.
So what ends up happening, and I'll tell you this, especially with business.
Regina, turn the show off real quick so Joe
Gina, leave it on.
So Joe can be transparent.
Leave it on, because I'll snitch on myself.
Yep.
There's been plenty of times in business where we'll be doing something. I'm like, awesome, we're doing good. We've got this. And then I'll find out, oh, I didn't tell you. I also have this card that's maxed to this because this I didn't tell you about. And I'm like,
You're like, I just thought we were doing so good in the
what's
book.
happening, right? And so I was like, okay, well, we need to reassess, we need to reevaluate. And that's happened a couple times, but that was, and I was like, what's going on with that? Finding out that was a trauma root in her heart from something that happened when she was younger. Didn't know. And she was like, you're going to hate me, or you're going to judge me, or you're going to feel like I've ruined your life. And I'm like, no, it's now something we get to fix together. So that I've had that happen.
It will be easier to fix together than,
Correct. So I've had those instances where it's like, oh my gosh. But when it comes to anything, we've really been honest and transparent. I've always been more shocked when I'm in a down and out spot or feeling just emotionally drained. The amount of love, I'm more shocked by the amount of love that's given. And I'm like, wow, I totally needed that. Thank you for noticing it. Like, that's what shocks me more. Even to this day, I know it's coming. Like, you're sitting there and you're looking at something and you're kind of stressing a little bit, and all of a sudden you get that warm scratch on your back or that kiss on the cheek, being like that. And it's that, oh yeah, that's right. I'm not alone in this. Those still as shocking. They're not shocking,
Feels so
but they're
good.
just, and I think that's what everybody really wants. They want to know.
That is exactly what everybody wants.
They want to know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And
if you have a partner to share life with that is a balance to you, not exactly you, right? Like, what do they say? Like, pick a partner that you would go into battle with.
Yeah.
Not someone that you just have to throw over your back
and carry.
Yeah. Right? So you want a little checks and balances. You want maybe a little bit of pushback at some capacity. You don't want to marry a yes man or a yes woman, because then it's just the you show.
Well, then
that would stress me the hell out.
Oh, absolutely. Well, how many stories have you heard? I mean, I've been around long enough to look at all of the tabloids and all the celebrity news and all this stuff. And the number one thing you keep seeing, I thought he was somebody else, and then I found out blah. Or I even have friends.
It's all the time.
I have friends. They're like, oh, yeah, no, I was married for X, Y, and then I found out that this, and this. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man.
Or, even worse, we got married and, he still wouldn't change. I'm like, well, did you think that he was going to change? Or did you think that she was going to change because you got married? I mean, don't get me wrong. Marriage is awesome and magical and great and glorious. But damn.
Yeah.
Like, but don't give it so much credit that it's going to miraculously heal someone's wounds.
Yeah, no.
You're still married to the same person before,
When that's
you put a ring on it.
And that's part of that moral encompassing. If your moral compass is to change somebody because you're God, and your moral compass is more important than theirs, it ain't going to work out for you.
Man.
I don't care who you are, because eventually the person's going to be like, no, this isn't how I like love. Sorry. But I mean, how many of that, it's the betrayal. It's that, oh my gosh, I thought they were this and I found out this. And it's so dramatic when that all is fixed.
That's why you date, though, and you ask some hard questions.
What? No.
Yeah, and you talk about finances, and you talk about kids, and you talk about, I mean, I have multiple friends. I have multiple close friends that have walked through divorces.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And when they open up about them, it's extremely challenging to hear. But anytime I have a conversation with somebody that has either walked through divorce or is actively walking through a divorce, it just makes me appreciate my relationship with Hannah that much more. Because when people are like, oh yeah,
that's
this,
real
that, and the
talk.
other thing, I'm just like,
yeah,
man, God just did such a great job in bringing Hannah into my life, because that woman just brings me so much peace. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, that's exactly what a man wants.
Absolutely, man.
And
having a safe place.
An incredible homemaker, an incredible mother. And she just sent me, she was just sending me photos. And I showed you one of Maddie and Bodie and Beckham this morning. He woke up and Hannah got up early and got Valentine's Day balloons and everything all decked out, and that was no part me. That was 1,000% Hannah.
Yeah.
Yet it just absolutely made my kids' morning. And then I got a photo of Maddie and Bodie just with their blankets and the little stuffed dinosaurs, and I'm just like, man, that's that brings me peace.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I want in a relationship.
Absolutely.
I love you because I like those eyes too. I love you because, dude, and this goes for so many of my close relationships. My buddy Ryan, my buddy Todd, on down the line, my buddy Clay. So many of my buddy John. So many of my really, really vetted and close friendships. If someone were to look at all of them and say subcategorize or categorize this group of friends, I would say they are easy to be around.
Yeah.
And that, as I get older, is exactly what I want, man. There is no part of high maintenance. Yeah, no. And if I'm having to just work overly hard to maintain a friendship,
bro.
No, I'm out.
Yeah.
Out.
I know.
Like, I'm out. But I love you. Like,
you know,
come
you'll
back around.
You know,
I'm not gonna chase you, man. If you don't, if we're not that close, we're just not that close. And
yeah,
peace be with you, man. I'll see you when I see you.
You
But
ever
I'm not gonna
seen-
chase you around.
you ever gotten those phone calls where you're looking, you're like, oh, you look at your phone, you see the caller ID, and you're like, this is gonna be like an hour conversation.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Click. I'm to the point where I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
not answering. And
Yeah.
it's nothing personal against the person.
No.
And that can also be where you're at as well. But loving yourself, let's be real. Loving yourself is knowing your balance and knowing your boundaries and knowing when someone is pushing past that. Like, there are a lot of people that I love being around, and there's a lot of people that I tolerate being around.
1,000%.
You know, there is a Buddhist proverb that I really love. It says, some people will give, some people will take, and some people will be neutral. Be around those that give. And I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, the best. They're the best people.
Yeah, be around people when you're done. You go, man, my day is ready. It doesn't. You're
I
hanging
feel
out.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't want to be around somebody that you're like, oh my gosh, oh,
Suck the life out of you.
and then you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to do anything now, and you just get exhausted. And I think that when it comes to relationship trends and stuff, if you're listening, if you've stuck around, I mean, ultimately, what kind of person are you? What kind of advice are you giving? How are you being that for other people? Are you taking all the time? Are you somebody that has to take?
Yeah, and if you are, and you realize that people might be distancing themselves from you,
Yeah.
maybe that is why, right? So if you can find a way to go back to where we started,
Yeah.
to fill your own cup,
Yeah.
so then you could then spill onto others.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, so much peace and so much genuine, organic, natural occurring friendships come from that place. If you genuinely, if you genuinely want what is good for those around you, you're going to have a good amount of gravitas, and people
Yeah.
are just going to want to be around you because now you're a battery, you're not a sponge.
Yep.
So they're going to get a little bit of spark from you. They're going to leave a little bit better
Yes.
than you found them because of what you're bringing to the table. And maybe all you're bringing to the table is a little 2-to-1 ratio, two ears and one mouth, and you're just an incredible listener. Like, there you go. Let me speak to the men for a second. Just listen. And mind you, this is no proverb. I need to hear this myself because sometimes when Hannah's bringing me a problem or something, I'm a man and I want to fix it. And I'm like, let's out my drill. And I'm like, let's go. And she's like, no. Don't fix this right now.
Your gal
I'm
pal
just like-
now.
I'm like, got it. I was like, shut your mouth, Cameron. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. And then I realized, all right, man, just shut up, sit down, and listen.
I actually asked the question, like, if there's a whole thing happening and I'm like, oh, and my brain starts going, I'm like, time out. Is this you want me to fix it?
Yeah.
Or is this
Mark, you just want me to
you just want me to listen?
Shut my mouth.
Do you want my feedback?
95% of the time it's
Like, I'll ask. And normally it's, no, I just need you to, can you listen? Sure.
Yep.
And I'll just sit there and listen and go, okay. Do you want feedback?
And then she
you
says, what
wanna
do you
hear
think
my-
about that? You're like, excuse me?
I was like, oh, that was longer than all of the Lord of the Rings extended editions. Like, I
Lord.
just landed the plane.
Snyder cut. Wow.
Release the abridged version.
Yes.
No, well, and that's something you're not wrong, man. I love one of my favorite lines from the movie Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, she broke up with me because I wasn't really paying attention. I don't know. I really wasn't listening.
I don't know. I really wasn't listening. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's fair.
Or it's like they say, like, when the husband, what is it? What is it? When the husband says, or the wife says, "You're not even listening to me," and he thinks to himself, "That's a weird way to start a conversation." You're not even listening. Well, that's an odd way to start a conversation.
You're like, man, wow, start this in the middle.
Wow. Where did we get off on the wrong foot?
Do you ever see the movie Stardust?
I can also picture the trailer.
Robert De Niro. The poster.
Yep.
Robert De
Purple
Niro, but it's the guy who plays Daredevil now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a super awesome actor. I remember watching that movie, and it's funny. And the reason I bring it up is because it's got a lot of truth in it. If you're somebody in the dating scene, you're trying to figure things out. So you know the story?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to spoiler alert the story.
Spoiler alert.
All right, just letting you know if you've never seen the movie Stardust, then I'm about to ruin it for you.
Yep.
It's about a guy who meets a girl. He sees a star that falls on the other side of the fence and goes, "I want to marry you." And she's like, "Yeah, but you're not rich." And he's just like, "I'm going to marry you no matter what. So if I get you that star, will you marry me?" And she's like, "Fine." All right. So first off, if you can't tell that there's already an issue with that kind of commitment, we have issues.
Yeah. Yep.
So then he goes and finds the star, which happens to be a woman. And he's like, "Wait, you're the star?" "Well, I told her I'm going to marry her, so I'm going to do this." And he goes through all of this crazy stress. He fights wind pirates. He fights the witches and all this crazy stuff. And by the time he realizes, like, why would I? The person I love is actually this star, the thing that I saw, the thing that I thought was the most valuable treasure. That's what I wanted. And there's so much truth in that story. And what I really find is amazing in that is the journey the character goes through, going from a desperate, naggy, I really need you to love me.
It's Pilgrim's Progress 2.0.
To like, oh, I'm okay being myself, and I'm actually all right on this adventure, and this journey has made me a man. And now I'm okay with just this treasure. Don't be desperate. Don't come across but desperate. It smells. Everybody knows. Like if you're talking to somebody, even business, sales, somebody comes in wanting to sell something. If they're like, "Yeah, man, hey, this is what I got." If they know their product, they're confident with it. They're like, "Oh, yeah, I'll take a look at it." But if they're like, "No, man, it's really good, and you really got to buy now," and you're like, "Sorry, man, you have to hit that quota. I don't have to hit that quota.
Yeah.
We're good." I think there's a power in that, man. I think there's a power in just knowing what you bring to the table and being confident in that.
And not only that, bringing that from business to relationships, I feel that the best relationships are two whole individual people that come together, not a self-reliance. Right? If one person's at 80 and the other person's 80 or 50 and 50, the second one person slides, it falls, or slides the other way, it falls. But two individual people that are whole and complete, again, coming from a spot where self-filling, having your own cup that's full, not lacking anything. If you're coming into it, you will find, what am I trying to say? You will find the best things if you're not looking at all. Straight up. But if you are looking for something, you're going to find it. And it may not always be good. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's the confidence in yourself as well. I mean, coming at it, you can't come into something looking for the problems. Like, you didn't get into real estate because you're like, there are so many problems with X, Y, and Z. You went in going, I really want to help people, and this is something I feel like I'm supposed to do. You'll hear in marketing and business, find the pain, find the issue that you're resolving. That's great. But if you don't have a solution and you don't have confidence that you bring a solution, it doesn't matter what that is. And when you're looking for a spouse, you're not trying to find the pain. You're not trying.
Say some people are.
You know what I mean? You're trying to find another person that's confident in who they are, so that you guys can come together and bring a strong unit. Right? You're not.
I keep
wrong,
biting
man.
my tongue on things that I want to say, but I'm like, no, be nice. But I mean, dude.
At this point, man, here's the thing. At this point, we're the old dogs on the bench. We've been married long enough with kids, and my marriage ain't going anywhere anytime soon, right? And so you start hearing other people complain. I love my friends, and I hear them complain about stuff, and I'm kind of like, this is the third time, man. This is really
This might be you, buddy.
I don't know. I mean, the third movie of the sequel, we kind of know what the story's gonna say. We're not surprised anymore.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to Like,
Yeah.
what's some dating advice? I'm like, just be yourself and don't focus on dating. And when somebody comes to you, then you're like, oh, sweet, this is maybe something we can do.
Yeah.
But don't desperately be looking for it.
And then don't be, I mean, if you're fishing in a pond that is only filled with trout, don't be surprised when you catch a trout, right?
What?
So like.
But I'm allergic to fish.
No, seriously. Seriously. But people are like, I can't believe that this guy was like this, or I can't believe this girl was like this. Where'd you find her? Well, the same place I found my last 2 girlfriends. I'm like, say it ain't so, man.
Isn't insanity
Switch it
doing
up.
the same
Switch
thing
it up.
over and over again, expecting different results?
Switch it up. Cast into a different pond.
And if you are,
Come on.
but and then that also goes to, that means that you're the same person going into the same places. You haven't grown. Like
You haven't grown enough to know better.
yeah, you haven't like, oh man, I'm in the same community, I'm in the same demographic, I'm in the same things. You haven't pushed yourself to continue to have other friends or to continue to grow. The biggest telling sign to me whether a relationship will start or last is the friends that people maintain in the process.
I love that.
So if you are like, hey man, oh, I totally met this girl, and then you never see that person again, I can tell you, give it a couple years, and you're gonna get a phone call.
Yep.
Bro, it was rough. I just got a divorce.
Didn't work out.
Can we hang out?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, if your spouse absolutely hates your friends, that's another thing I love about Hannah. Like I love so much that, like Hannah will, and mind you, this is maybe this isn't a knock. Hannah would rather be around my guy friends than probably any of her girlfriends. Period. I'm serious. Maybe that's just because she only had sisters, and I think she needs like a little bit more of kind of the bro energy around, which is just awesome.
It's
fun.
fun.
And I love seeing my wife around my friends, and all my friends have individually, at one capacity or another, reminded me how lucky I am to have found Hannah.
Yeah.
But not that I found her because I wasn't looking for her.
Yeah.
How we stumbled upon one another.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so many other gentlemen and friends that I know that will be on the dating scene, and then you just don't see this person for 9 months. Like, what happened? Oh, yeah, he was dating so-and-so. And then a year goes by, and then they pop up. Hey, like, where were you?
They're like, yeah, I went through a...
Yeah, I went through a little patch there. I'm like, yeah, buddy. I'd say you did.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can, if you're, you don't want to be in a relationship. There you go. This is a love episode, and now people are going to start breaking up. But hey, all good.
Wait, you hate my friends? Wait a minute.
Yeah, someone's listening to this right now, and they're like, my girlfriend does hate my friends. Either A, you have some shit friends and need to get a better friends group, or B, have a conversation with your girl.
Keeping it real, bro.
Yeah, trying to.
So here's interesting. Dating trends 2025.
Let's go.
Okay, so before I read them, what do you think
a dating trend
trend? No, I know you know what a dating trend is.
Sure.
Right? What do you think they are now? Because I'm going to read them, and I read them, and I was shocked because I was like, this seems like a shifting.
Let's see. I think we will probably read something about more women being comfortable asking men on dates.
Sure.
Because I think societally that's kind of where we're at.
Yep.
I think we will read about more women paying for meals.
Sure.
Something like that.
Sure.
What do we got?
So
have I hit either?
Kind of.
Let's go.
Kind of. Dating trends include, so this is an AI overview on Google. I actually love that they do this because now I don't have to read it.
No. I love the, give me the AI bridge version, please.
Oh,
That's what
so
I get time for.
AI review Google. I just typed in dating trends 2025. In 2025, dating trends include prioritizing emotional connection.
I like that. That's
shared values, and authenticity. People are also relying on social circles for dating advice and are becoming more comfortable expressing their differences.
That's all good stuff. Why is that 2025? Why isn't that like since the beginning of time? It sounds organically like great. Go through it one more time.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. Fast.
In 2025, dating trends include prioritizing emotional connection,
Wonderful.
shared values, and authenticity. And then dating strategies, exploring compatibility. People are taking more time to explore deeper compatibility markers. Like we were talking about. Hey, don't just go with the first person. Don't be desperate.
Yeah.
And then it says relying on social circles. It does not say relying on social media.
Yep.
And expressing preferences. People are becoming more comfortable expressing their preferences. Going, nope, that's not my type. Instead of being like, I'll take anybody.
I think it's a good thing.
I think it's amazing.
Because taking anything is kind of a
it's
desperation.
A gamble. It's a desperation, but I also think it's a gamble because if you're taking anything, you don't know. I mean, to not be.
How do you like your steak? Surprise me. I mean, no. No, thank you, man. Preferences are okay.
There's certain things that surprise me works. If I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, I have 4 items, I'm like, hey, which one of these is the best? I would go with that. Okay, cool.
I love that.
That works. I love that, right?
I love it. Especially at a sushi restaurant. What would you like? Tell the chef to make something awesome. Kind of spicy. Throw some lemon on it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, he'll like that.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
they made me something amazing.
This?
Yeah. No, it makes sense with food. I don't know. Yeah, I had this amazing sushi roll. Can you give me a woman that's like this sushi roll?
Exactly. Little spicy. No.
With some lemon zest.
Yeah, when you are, again, that's when people say, I mean, pray fervently and be specific in your prayer. Like if you're like, God, bring somebody into my life, you leave it at that, let him work. But you're like, God, bring somebody in my life. God, I really love blondes.
Yeah.
I really love them 5'3", and I really love blue eyes. God's going to be like, bro, chill out.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm all for specifics and giving you the desires of your heart.
I'm actually going to.
But I mean, come on now.
You ready for a counteracting story on that?
Yes.
So when Regina, I didn't know this. So before I met her, it was after I dated somebody. I'm not going to mention names or anything like that.
Yep.
But I had the realization after that.
His name was Wayne.
Stop.
Yep.
No. So after I dated the person, I remember a couple people were like, "Wow, you're back." I was like, "Where did I go?" They're like, "When you were dating that person, you just disappeared." I was like, "I did."
Like, oh.
And I realized that was in high school. I realized, I should probably not prioritize a person over other people.
Sure.
I should make things work. I went, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this. It's too much drama. There's too many girls. There's too much stuff. I just don't. I'm going to focus on music at the time. I'm going to focus on art, creativity.
Absolutely.
I'm going to focus on career. I'm done. So in the focus of that, that's when I met Regina. I didn't know, and she told me this, and I found this out a couple years ago. She goes, "Do you know I made a list?"
Ooh.
I went, "You made a list?" Now that is the beginning of that's the beginning and the end of a really good season of a show.
I
made a list and you failed, right?
Yeah.
She says, "No, I made a list." She's like, "I wanted somebody that was 5'8".
Oh, she went that specific?
That specific. Somebody with brown hair, blue eyes, somebody that has a sense of humor, somebody that can do voices, which I can do. I have quite a bit that I do.
You do a good
that was passionate about projects, somebody that loved food and cooking. She literally went through it.
She listed.
Described me.
You.
I was like, oh.
Here I am, babe, in all my glory.
And she was told.
There were some voices.
She was told, like, hey, don't. That's being that specific. You won't find somebody like that. Especially, she's like, yeah, and I want him to be a virgin. I want to make sure that, we're pure for that. And all of her friends are like, good luck.
Yeah.
Dallas ain't happening.
Yeah.
10 months later.
Wow.
10 months later.
Wow.
So, I mean.
So there you go. Yeah. Counterbalance the 5'3" blonde with blue eyes with Regina's like, my list was 10 and then I get Joe.
Yeah.
There you go. I refute everything I said. Be specific.
Be specific.
To the height, to the this, that, and the other.
You can be.
I need her to be a Sagittarius. I need her to have a love for broccoli.
She needs to be born in the year of the rabbit. I don't.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like, by all means, gosh. Okay, there you go. I refute my last statement.
Well, and that's
be as specific in those prayers for your spouse as you'd like.
There you go. But
you're kind of pigeonhole yourself, but do your thing.
But isn't that amazing? That preference-wise.
That's awesome.
But listening to the trends makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because all of
gives
that
gives me more hope.
It's normalcy. It is. Hey.
No, it's a ton of normalcy. I was expecting it to say stuff about like. Bumble and Tinder and all these apps that you have to have downloaded, which just sounds like like so much nuance.
Yeah.
Like this dating scene, I want nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like a lot, right? It just sounds like a lot. And again, it doesn't sound like it would bring me peace, and we both know that that's a priority to me.
Sure.
But for those that are on this dating scene now, if those are the trends, that gives me a good amount of hope.
It didn't say it didn't say go online and open up a dating app and do all these things.
Yeah.
It said find good social circles, be introduced to new people. That's grounded back in humanity. I mean, we've been talking for like ever about social media, how it's an amazing tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is
can be.
But it is not the go all for everything.
No, absolutely not.
You know, I do know people that I've met on social media that are married and that it's successful.
One of my best friends, Kyle, met his wife on a dating app. So I can't knock them.
No.
When they're now fruitful friendships, relationships, and they're happily married with a growing family.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't knock it. So by all means, use whatever tech you need to. Just don't lean into it so heavily like, no, she swiped left on me, or that was the one, and she didn't even read me, or I don't know, Bumble is.
Did I tell you about? So I had a buddy who was looking to marry somebody, and it was one of those like, it was sad because it was I'm gonna marry somebody, and I was like, buddy, you don't know anybody right now. He's like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm gonna marry somebody.
Yikes.
And then it got to the point where I was like, well, no, if God loves me, I'm gonna marry somebody. And I was like, buddy, there's a lot of
it's not a growth that you need to have, bud.
You know how hard it is to have that conversation? So we talked, and then radio silence for 3 weeks. And I was like, all right, I'm going to check on him. So I shoot him a text. Hey, man, how's it going? And he doesn't reply. And he's living by himself, and I know he's been hitting all these dating apps and stuff. So I go over and knock on the door, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. He opens, he hasn't showered, hasn't shaved. He's in a pretty bad spot. I said, bro, you look rough. Yeah, I just looked at my impressions. I was like, impressions? He goes, yeah, on all the dating apps I'm doing. He's like, I have attempted over 600 women to have conversations with in the last month. I've gotten turned down on all of them, and I've been swiped left by X amount of people. And then he's like, am I that awful to be around? And it was like I got him.
You could maybe shave a little bit.
Right? And
update
so
your profile photo.
There was that, hey, and I loved on him, kind of helped walk him through that. Shortly thereafter, he ended up finding his wife. But it was one of those, like, I've seen when you go all in on something, going, this is going to be it. It doesn't.
Yeah, no. Because then you're putting the pursuit in front of the purpose.
Correct.
That would have fulfilled the pursuit if you weren't so viciously, ambitiously trying to just fill that hole, right? If you're searching for something, like I said earlier, if you're searching for something, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to be fulfilling, because are you trying to get married because it's what you're supposed to do when you're 25 or you're 30 and now I've graduated college and now I'm working in my career but I don't have kids yet? Like, no.
Just because it's part of your plan.
Yeah, change. Yeah, exactly. God's timing, not your own.
Yeah, exactly.
God's timing, not your own. Bring us home.
All right. So
all that to say, really, it comes down to commitment. It comes to finding with somebody. You will never find somebody that's perfect. If you're looking for perfection, you will always be disappointed. 1000%.
Be realistic. Be relatable. Talk with somebody that it's easy to talk with. I can tell you, the easiest conversations I ever have are with my wife.
Same.
And you, but that doesn't count. But no.
Hey.
No, but it's easy to talk with her. 15 years of marriage has taught me that it's easy.
Awesome, man.
And it's only easy because the give and the take and the ebbs and the flows and being there for each other. And that's what we really need. If you're looking for that, start being that for other people.
Well said.
And then that will come into your life. If you are unwilling to sacrifice and be that love that you're looking for to other people, then you yourself will be without.
Well said. I have nothing to add to that because that was perfectly said. If you need to take that tape back a little bit, hear that again, do so.
Yep.
We love you guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And you guys have a blessed rest of your day.
Cut!
Boom, baby.
Thank you for checking out the Cam and Joe Show.
If you guys are liking our content so far, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also listen to us on Spotify.